So I had classified the igneous rocks on the basis of their origin. Some igneous rocks are formed by the solidification of lava. Okay, when the lava comes over the surface, and such igneous rocks are known as volcanic or extrusive. But some igneous rocks are formed by the solidification of magma within the crust. Those rocks are known as plutonic and what? Intrusive. I had given example of this rocks. Okay, now the igneous rocks can be classified on other bases also. What are the bases here? The chemistry, the chemical composition. Okay, chemical composition as well as the mineral composition, and on the basis of which we can divide the igneous rocks into felsic, mafic and ultramafic. Okay. Felsic word is derived from the word fels. Fels means feldspar. Feldspar is what? Feldspar is a mineral. It is a silicate mineral. यानी फेल्सिक रॉक्स में, फेल्सिक इग्नियस रॉक्स में कौन सा मिनरल ज़्यादा होगा, एबंडेंट होगा? फेल्सपार होगा. फेल्सपार किस ग्रुप में आता है? सिलिकेट ग्रुप में आता है. क्यों? क्योंकि फेल्सपार में सिलिका और ऑक्सीजन्स होते हैं. सो फेल्सिक वर्ड आया यहाँ से, फेल्स से. फेल्स रिप्रेजेंट क्या करता है? फेल्सपार. फेल्सपार इज व्हाट? अ मिनरल विच बिलोंग्स टू सिलिकेट ग्रुप ऑफ मिनरल. So felsic minerals, okay, feldspar, these rocks contain, it is light colored and less dense. When you take the piece of rocks and calculate the density is comparatively less and they are lighter in color, not darker in color. Okay, which rock? Felsic. What is the example? Rhyolite, granite, andesite, diorite. When you look at this, granite sometimes थोड़ा greenish color के भी होते हैं. Okay, when you look at the granite. So rhyolite, granite, andesite and diorite are the light colored, less dense, felsic रॉक्स. ओके, फेल्सिक जब मैं बोल रहा हूँ तो इसमें मिनरल कॉम्पोजिशन क्या है? फेल्सपार. और इसमें सिलिका कंटेंट हाई रहते हैं. अभी मैं सिलिका कंटेंट के आधार पे भी बताऊंगा. अब देखो, सेकेंड इज नोन एज मैफिक. सेकेंड रॉक, इग्नियस रॉक्स, इज नोन एज व्हाट? द मैफिक. नाउ लुक एट this word mafic is derived from the magnesium and ferrous. Mafic word कहाँ से आया? Magnesium and ferrous. Okay. Now, which kind of mineral is present? Pyroxene, amphibole, olivines. These are the minerals which is present in the crust. These minerals are in abundance in the mafic rocks, mafic igneous rocks. Silica is comparatively lesser in this. Further, I will explain on the basis of silica also, the type of igneous rocks. Now, these are dark colored rocks. अगर इनमें mafic rocks का sample लो तो ये डार्क कलर्ड होंगे एंड ये डेंस होगी, इसकी डेंसिटी हाई होगी बिकॉज कॉम्पैक्टली अरेंज्ड है मॉलिक्यूल. डेंसिटी हाई होने का मतलब क्या है? द मॉलिक्यूल्स आर कॉम्पैक्टली अरेंज्ड. व्हाट आर द एग्जाम्पल? बसाल्ट, गैब्रो. एंड यू शुड कीप इन माइंड बिकॉज डायरेक्टली एग्जाम्पल बेस्ड क्वेश्चन आएंगे प्री एग्जाम्स के अंदर, नॉट इन ऑप्शनल पेपर, बट ऑप्शनल पेपर यू शुड keep in mind the classification and you can make a flow chart and you can explain this point. Okay, so what are the example of the mafic rock? In the mafic rocks, the word is derived from magnesium and ferrous because it is present. Okay, and what are the minerals which is abundant? Pyroxene, olivines, amphibole, these minerals are present. Okay, the colored is dark and these are the denser rocks example I had given. Now ultramafic, here when you look at, again pyroxene mineral is present also here and olivine, but in different proportion. These are also dark colored and densest out of all, सबसे ज़्यादा डेंसिटी होगी, रिच इन मैग्नीशियम एंड आयरन. अल्ट्रा मैफिक, वर्ड इज अल्ट्रा, मैफिक के आगे अल्ट्रा लगा है, अल्ट्रा मैफिक. सो हियर ऑल्सो द मैग्नीशियम एंड आयरन इज प्रेजेंट, pyroxene and olivine minerals is present, but in higher proportion, and that's why these are the dark colored and densest out of this. अगर इनमें कंपैरिजन करें डेंसिटी, सबसे ज़्यादा अल्ट्रा मैफिक की होगी. एग्जाम्पल क्या है? पेरिडोटाइट इज अ इग्नियस रॉक, ड्यूनाइट इज एन इग्नियस रॉक, इज एन एग्जाम्पल ऑफ अल्ट्रा मैफिक. So how many igneous rocks example I had given? 4 here, 2 here, 2 here. There are various type of igneous rocks which is present in the planet Earth. Okay. So you should keep in mind. This comparative chart is very, very important for you people, for especially for your preliminary point of view, and this flow chart support you, help you to frame your answers in the mains. Okay, in optional paper. Now, so this is the classification based on the chemistry as well as the mineral composition. Okay, now I had shared the PDF with you people, that I had given here simplified presentation, so you can jot down it, you can read it. Okay. Now, when you look at, on the basis of silica, again we can classify the igneous rocks. On what basis? On the basis of the silica composition. Igneous rocks are acidic, basic, intermediate and ultra basic type. First I had classified on the basis of origin. Second I had classified on the basis of chemistry and mineral composition. And third here I had classified on the basis of silica composition. Keep in mind and make a flow chart. बैठ के रामायण नहीं सुनना आपको. Okay. Now, so on the basis of silica composition, when you look at, I had classified the igneous rocks in 4 different types. Acidic, when we called the igneous rock acidic, having more silica, 60 to 85%. The silica is highest in percentage, 60 to 85% silica, and average density 2.75 to 2.8 gram per centimeter cube. Look at the properties of the acidic igneous rocks on the basis of silica content. Okay, getting my point? Now, quartz, the mineral quartz and the feldspar, pink feldspar having the different color based on impurities which is present. So pink feldspar, or simply you should keep in mind feldspar. So quartz and feldspar, dominant mineral. What is the example of acidic igneous rock? Granite. Granite is a best example. Okay. Granite is a best example. Based on silica पूछा जाए, granite is the best example of acidic igneous rock. Silica content is highest, 60 to 85%. Density of rocks 2.75 to 2.8. Okay, it is a plutonic. अगर हम origin के हिसाब से classification देखेंगे, it is plutonic. अगर हम इसको देखेंगे chemistry के हिसाब से, it is felsic. लेकिन जब सिलिका कंटेंट के आधार पे कह रहे हो तो इसे एसिडिक कहेंगे. टर्म्स मस्ट बी क्लियर. ओके, नाउ द बेसिक रॉक्स having comparatively less silica, 45 to 60%. The amount of silica, the percentage of silica is 45 to 60% in the basic igneous rocks, comparatively lesser than the acidic, and density is slight higher, 2.8 to 3. Previously 2.75 to 2.8, here 2.8 to 3, slightly higher density. Now, what are the mineral which is abundant? Ferromagnesium. Okay, ferromagnesium is abundant mineral. Here, what I have said, which mineral is? Feldspar and quartz. Acidic में कौन सा mineral ज़्यादा है? Feldspar and quartz. उसकी density थोड़ी कम है, उसमें सिलिका कंटेंट हाई है. एग्जाम्पल ग्रेनाइट दिया. यहाँ एग्जाम्पल है बसाल्ट एंड गैब्रो. बसाल्ट इज अ बेसिक. ओके, और मैफिक, इट इज ऑल्सो नोन एज मैफिक. अभी एग्जाम्पल दिया था. किस आधार पे मैफिक बोलते हैं? मिनरल्स कॉम्पोजिशन के आधार पर. ठीक है. Now, intermediate igneous rocks, mineral composition, silica content is less than the acidic igneous rock, इससे कम होगा. ठीक है. Here, but आप देखोगे बेसिक्स से थोड़ा ज़्यादा. That's why the word is intermediate. What I have written, silica content is less than the acidic igneous rocks. I have written the word acidic igneous rocks से कम है. Intermediate categories. Average density 2.75 to 2.8. Because इससे थोड़ा ज़्यादा है तो यहाँ इसकी density high है, इसकी almost equal to this acidic. Now, what are the example? Diorite, andesite. These are the igneous rocks which are intermediate based on silica composition. And ultra basic, silica is less than 45%. इससे भी कम, basic से भी कम है तो density obviously high होगी, 2.8 to 3.4. Okay, 2.8 to 3.4. Very less amount of silica. What are the best example? Peridotite. Peridotite is a best example. Okay, of the ultra basic. So based on the silica composition, we can classify the igneous rocks into the acidic, basic, intermediate and the ultra basic type. Is it clear now? Type समझ आया क्या? And मैंने कहा this classification you directly get the question. When you practice the previous year questions, you can find out multiple question and easy to understand. It's not very tough. It's easy to understand because there is a linkage. You have to understand the linkages. Okay. In which what we observe. Almost. Slight variation in the percentage of silica. Silica is slightly lesser than the acidic. Okay. Now, so I had always follows the same structure, so it is easy to remember. मैंने क्या बताया? सबसे पहले composition of silica, फिर density of rocks, फिर example of mineral which is present, then example of the rocks. So this is the structure. इसे मैं structure बुलाता हूँ क्योंकि अगर आप एक structure में पढ़ते हो तो that will be easy to memorize, easy to learn. Now, अभी igneous rocks और भी हैं. अब हम लोग यहाँ क्रिस्टल और ग्रेन साइज के आधार पे देखें, क्लासिफिकेशन ऑफ इग्नियस रॉक्स ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ टेक्सचर और द ग्रेन्स। व्हेन यू टच द रॉक्स तो आपको रफ लगेगा या स्मूथ लगेगा, कैसे पता लगेगा? ग्रेन साइज। एंड व्हेन यू पल्वराइज्ड, उसका पाउडर बनाओगे, देन यू फील द ग्रेन साइज। ओके, व्हेन यू ब्रेक द रॉक्स। सो ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ द टेक्सचर, व्हेन यू लुक एट or the grain, igneous rocks are of various types. Now 5 हैं, look at pegmatitic igneous rock. अब ये terms क्या है? This is a new term for you people. Pegmatitic, pheneritic, aphanitic, glassy, porphyritic. 5 types. Okay. Pegmatitic. What I have written here, very coarse grained and have large crystal. The size of the particle is large, coarse, bigger, and the crystal is large. They form the large crystal. What are the example of the rocks? Granite, diorite. When you take the granite rocks, here the size of crystal is quite visible, and the grain size is bigger. Okay, this is known as pegmatitic igneous rocks. On the basis of what? On the basis of size of the grains or the particles through which these rocks forms. Okay. Now pheneritic, again the coarse grained are there. The size of the grains is visible, larger, bigger, but here the largest size is there. But again, example is andesite and rhyolite. Means size of the grains is visible here also, but here the size is the largest. The grain size or the particle size which forms the crystal is the largest. But here also the size is quite visible. Now example, andesite and rhyolite. Next, aphanitic, fine grained. ऐसे हाथ टच किया तो चिपक जाएगा आपके हाथ में. It is stick to your hand, fine grained, small particles are there. Okay. What are the example of such igneous rocks where the grain size is fine? Basalt comes under aphanitic. आप देखो यहाँ पर ग्रेन साइज विजिबल ही नहीं है. Okay, there is no visible grain, less crystalline, lack of proper crystal structure. What is the name of the rocks? Igneous rocks. Type है glassy, dunite. Okay, now porphyritic, mixed grain. Peridotite, mixed grain, means some coarse as well as some fine grains, both are present. What is the example I had given? Peridotite. So there are 5 types of igneous rocks based on what? The size of the grains or the particles which forms the crystal. Okay, what is the name? Pegmatitic, pheneritic, aphanitic, glassy, as well as porphyritic. So as a beginner you should keep in mind and you should practice and you should try to learn and memorize these terms. Okay, एक दो बार लिखना होगा आपको तो फिर ये टर्म याद होंगे. ठीक है, बट read conceptually, learn conceptually. Try to create a linkages. When you try to abruptly link the concepts, you're never able to remember these terms. Okay. So I had defined all the type of igneous rocks. I had classified igneous rocks on multiple bases. So if there is a classification, if the classification will be asked in examination further, when you appear in examination, try to classify igneous rocks on multiple bases. Okay, depend on your time limit. And that's why I had classified through a structure, through flowchart. Flowchart बनाने में time कम लगता है. If you explain the entire things through these flowcharts, so everything is quite explanatory. सारा point लिखा हुआ है यहाँ, कुछ भी अलग से लिखने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. So it depend on your time. It will takes what? Only 8 to 9 minutes to write everything in a flow chart. 7 to 8 minutes में आप लिख सकते हैं, ठीक है ना? You can create a flow chart and you can write that a full answers, and that will be more informative. So you will fetch a complete marks here, a good marks through this flow chart. पैराग्राफ राइटिंग में सोचेंगे, एक्सप्लेन करने के लिए मिस कर जाओगे. So everything try to write here. If you have a sufficient time, then you can explain. Okay, if you have no sufficient time, so make a flow chart and write the conclusion. There are multiple opinions, multiple views to classify. There are multiple bases to classify the igneous rocks. Okay. And after the formation, this igneous rocks modified by several agents. Okay. So this is all about the igneous rocks. Hope you people may understand now.